Don't have gas.
Last two.
Okay, you ready, Kim? Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to call this first meeting of the City of Fort Walton Beach Charter Review Committee to order at 2 o'clock. The first item on the agenda is roll call. I know you already all checked in, but maybe we'll just say our names for the record since this is our first meeting so we all know who we are. I'm Kim Kopp, one of the two city attorneys.
Tony Taylor.
Robert Smith.
Jeff Peters. Mike Minnick.
Mike Holmes.
Steve Calderelli.
Mike Beatty.
All right. And our new city manager, Jason Davis, and our city clerk, Kim Barnes. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as you can all see, the next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. If you all can do that, and then I can give you a brief introduction.
Motion to approve agenda is presented.
Move to approve. Second.
It might not be ready for us to vote that quick.
Oh, where's the thing?
Okay, who did the motion?
I did.
Okay. Did you mark it yet?
I did this one.
Tony and Steve, if you want to click over Steve. Click on that.
Yes.
You click on it.
I was waiting for all of
So just for us that haven't sat up here with this before, so if we make a motion, then we should click motion, and then if we make a second, we should click second, and then we'll get a menu pop up that says yes or no. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
The motion won't pop up until the second is made, though.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. And shortly you all will pick a chair to preside over the meeting, so it won't be me going forward, it will be one of you all. But before we do that, if you don't mind, I'll just give you a quick introduction to why we're here. So as you know, we had a resolution passed by the City Council that provided for 7 residents, each of you appointed by a different council member, will attend this committee, which as per the resolution would be held the first Tuesday of the month, although if we have conflicts that can be changed from time to time. Your purpose is going to be to review the city charter and provide recommendations to the council for any changes that you want to recommend for various reasons. The resolution provides that within 180 days, you will produce a report to the City Council containing any recommendations for amendments to the charter. The council will then review your report at a public meeting, and the council members not bound, but they will consider your recommendations. They can accept them, reject them, or make modifications. And then at that point, with any acceptance of your recommendations, the council will potentially submit those recommendations to the voters at a referendum election. And just in case any of you don't know, to amend a charter, a vote of the residents is required. So that's just a very big overview. I'm certainly happy to get into it more if you have questions, but at this point, I think it would be a good time for you all to select a chair. That will be someone to run your meetings and kind of govern.
Nominations?
Yes.
Nominate Mike Minnick.
Second.
All right, you have a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? If not, you can go to a vote.
There we go. I see it now. Thank you so very much for your confidence, gentlemen. Let's see, how'd it go?
You're already in the seat, so.
I know.
Unanimous, unanimous.
I know, that's what happens when you're last minute. All right, thank you very much. Before we get on to the actual discussion, our code of ordinances states that we will use Robert's Rules of Order for boards and committees. And so that there's no misunderstanding on how we're going to go about this meeting, I'd like to point out just a few things, and it's going to be really quick. If you wish to speak, just give me the high side, raise your hand, and wait until I recognize you before you start to speak. If you have a question, pose your questions to the chair. Instead of saying, hey, I want to ask that guy over there, just pose your question to the chair. If I know the answer, I can answer. If not, we'll call on someone else. At this point in time, I would like to ask the city manager, is it all right with you if we direct the questions to the people that answered us, that sent us directions? Or would you rather me direct a question to you first?
Finally, asking direct.
Asking to you? All right.
Sure.
All right, I ask them directly. All right, thank you very much. If you wish to change a portion of the charter, make a motion by stating, I move, and then state your motion. Motion should be seconded. Once a motion is made, seconded, and restated by the chairman, they cannot be rescinded or changed without a motion to rescind. To amend. Sorry, not rescind. All motions should be made in the affirmative. So if you don't want to do anything, don't make a motion. So if you guys want to make a change, make a motion. No change, no motion. And we will alternate opinions. So once it has been, if you make the motion, you get first shot, and then we'll alternate people that might not want that, and then back to what people do want that. That's a way that you can find out without something about it. Here's how we're going to go about the review. We're going to go a section at a time. If comments are made by staff member, we'll allow them to speak on a motion if they want to have, if they choose to speak about their recommendations. And then we will allow comments by the city clerk, attorney, and city manager, and then we're going to do questions. Remember, questions should be brief. Questions should be questions. We're not going to debate during questions. We'll do that after a motion. And then a question about the sections, and then we will go to the motions. So without further ado, what I'd like to do now is take any public input that any of the people from the public would like to speak about what they believe should happen with the charter. Seeing no one, we'll move on. We'll go to the first section, which is establishment, municipality established. Ms. Neighbors had a comment. Ms. Neighbors, would you like to come forward and make your comment? No.
Nicole Beavers, Finance Director. I just put the comment because I know that we've had issues in the past of groups imitating the city seal, just changing it a little bit, and I talked to my purchasing manager, and there's some legality issues with it. So I was just wondering if maybe you want to put something in there that we need something official so our seal can't be imitated.
Questions? I have a question for Ms. Cobb.
Yes.
Is our city seal trademarked or copyrighted?
I don't believe so. Kim, it's not, right?
I thought it was trademark, but
Okay,
I
good.
can't answer that 100%. I'll have to research.
We will have to research that. To my knowledge, it wasn't trademarked.
Okay.
But regardless, there is a Florida statute, just for you all to know, that says you cannot use a city seal, trademarked or not, without the proper authority or permission.
Thank you. And does it, the state statute state how many changes, how much change can be made to a seal before it's
It
considered?
doesn't.
It's a little muddy. All right, thank you. Anyone else? Questions? I'll entertain a motion. Oh, yes, a motion.
Actually, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Can a city trademark or copyright a seal?
Yeah, it's possible. It's a process. That's why I didn't think the city had done it, but it can be done.
Okay. Any more questions? Motion on this section.
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
As things have been, I've been on the job for all of 11 hours, but well, something I was looking at was potentially revising that seal, so to speak. I've seen some kind of like cheap knockoffs, if you will. So is there a means to go about doing that in a public forum? Does that need to be included in here if that's something the board so wishes to do going forward?
Yeah, I think if you want to change the city seal, you would probably want to take that to council for a decision. and that would begin the process, and then they could authorize you to take the next steps. It doesn't have to be in the charter. It is something the charter committee can talk about, but council can do it with or without a charter amendment, because basically the council can do anything that is legal and allowed by statute that the charter doesn't prohibit. So if the charter doesn't address it and there's no statute telling them they can't, then they can probably do it.
Thank you.
So as I understand what you're saying, Ms. Kopp, is that the city council can take care of this by resolution?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Once again, motion. All right, moving on to the next. Validation of ordinances, property rights, liabilities. We didn't get any kind of comments from any of the staff on this. Ms. Kopp, do you have any comments?
No, sir.
We didn't receive any from you, so I know that you said you were going to bring it up during the meeting.
Yeah, if something comes up, I'll definitely weigh in.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Motion? Seeing no motion, we'll move on to section 3. Creation and composition of the council. We had two staff members that commented on this. Ms. Barnes, I'll let you go first.
Let the other one go to Bill.
I think yours was, Ms. Barnes, says nonpartisan.
Okay. I think that was I'm getting on here.
That's fine. Let me do this while we're waiting on that. There's a couple things that are recurring in this, and I should have talked about it before, but I was too nervous. There's a couple of things that recur several times in here. One of them is City of Fort Walton Beach versus Fort Walton Beach. This was Ms. Barnes' comment. Ms. Barnes, would you like to talk about that first?
Yes, the very first paragraph discusses that. It says that the city of Fort Walton will change the name to Fort Walton Beach. It doesn't say we'll change the name to the city of Fort Walton Beach. So that was my only comment on that.
Okay, and you crossed out City of.
Throughout.
Okay, so your change was go from City of Fort Walton to Fort Walton Beach. Is that correct?
Everywhere it says city of Fort Walton Beach, because there are still some references in the charter to the city of Fort Walton.
Right.
When it was Fort Walton.
Right.
But when they changed it to Fort Walton Beach, they left off the city of
I saw
from
that.
that first paragraph. And
So is it your recommendation we go to City of Fort Walton Beach or Fort Walton Beach?
well, that doesn't matter to me. I was
Okay.
pointing out that it's not consistent throughout.
Okay, so what we'll do is, are there any other questions?
I would recommend you change it to City of Fort Walton Beach throughout. Just my, I mean, I agree with you. There's spots where it says Fort Walton and that's wrong.
Right.
But City of Fort Walton Beach is probably a good way to refer to the City of Fort Walton Beach.
There's still a few places within the charter
We saw
that
it, yeah.
says City of Fort Walton that needs to remain there because it's referring back to before it was
Correct.
changed to Fort
Yeah, I
Walton.
noticed that too, so did
Okay.
Ms. Neighbors and others, so. Any other questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Taylor.
Are we going to have to go back to section 1 and rework the language of that?
Well, I think if we do just an overall statement here, that'll do it. Yeah, I should have brought it up before, but as I said, I was nervous.
Yeah, because I don't think you all have to prepare an actual redlined document for the council. If you provide like a bullet point list of recommendations, we can take that to them. I mean, I think that would be easier for you all, but it's up to you.
Any other questions? Motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we make all new references in the charter, City of Fort Walton Beach.
All right.
Section.
Mr. Beatty made the motion. Mr. Peters seconded it to change all references to the city to City of Fort Walton Beach. Mr. Beatty?
Where applicable, because I know there are some spots in there where City of Fort Walton is referenced because of the original charter.
All references. Okay. All right. Any other comment, Mr. Beatty?
No more.
Anyone opposed to this? Seeing no one opposed, can we vote? All right. The next item that is seen a lot of times here, and I should have brought it up again before, is the use of term officers. That was brought up by 2 staff members about the use of term officers and what does that mean. Anyone from the staff have some sort of opinion on that?
I don't know if it was an old reference
Right.
or why.
I believe that, Ms. Neighbors, your question was, were they referring to department heads?
Right, to directors or just clarification.
For clarification. Did anyone see that it was used without it being in reference to a department head?
I couldn't determine which it should be and who they were referring to, because sometimes it seemed like employees, because it was referring to people that were under the city manager.
Right.
But then sometimes it seemed like charter officers who are under the direction of the city council. So,
Right. It was a little ambiguous, wasn't it?
I felt like it was, Chair.
We're not debating yet, so we have a question?
I do.
Go ahead, what's your question? I didn't mean to throw you off.
Yeah, the officers, the 2 charter officers, but the department heads and employees, would that be a better language to use than the charter would be department heads and employees rather than officers and employees? Just my opinion.
if you all
Got a
look,
question?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Mr. Beatty?
A comment I made when I was reviewing it was, should there be a definition section that would clarify some of that ambiguous language?
Okay, that might be something that we could do. If you want to make a motion to add a definition section to the charter, then I will entertain that motion.
I mean, I'll make that motion to add a definition section prior to Title II.
Okay.
I'll second.
Mr. Holmes? That was you? All right. Motion's been made by Mr. Beatty and seconded by Mr. Holmes to add a definition section. Any other, Mr. Beatty, you've already kind of talked about it. Would you like to speak about it more?
No, I mean, I think as we go through this, we can determine those terms that may need to be defined. And then, you know, as we go through our 6 months of meetings, we may decide that we don't need it. But at least it's out there to discuss.
Somebody opposed to this motion?
The only comment I was going to make was maybe instead of a definition, a whole definition section, just distinguish in the individual sections, whether it's a charter officer or a department director or employee.
Okay, the motion right now is to create a definition section. So you were opposed to this motion for that reason?
Not opposed to it, I'm just making it.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Well, let's stick to the one we got right now. Anyone else? Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, if the officers or directors or whatever we're referred to have a little concern, then the general public's going to even be worse. And I think it'd be very easy just to do away with maybe, we know we have 2 officers and then have directors and employees and simplify everything.
Okay.
And it would be a very short section, shouldn't be very ambiguous as to do anything with it.
Okay. Anyone else? Please vote. I voted no. I thought that maybe another suggestion that came up later, but it's passed. So I'll entertain a motion now to add officers to the definition section. Would someone like to make that motion?
or you can remove the word officers.
Well, I mean, that was the one we brought up, so
To define what.
to define what officers are. We can add that and add a definition that is brought forward.
Do we need separate motions for that, though? I mean, we've already said
Well,
we...
you can just add it, you think? All right, we'll just go for that. All right, next section, let me see, is creation of company's position of counsel. Ms. Barnes, That was the one that you had, I believe, nonpartisan election, is that correct?
Yes, and that was probably a question to the attorney more so, because it's still referring here to the general elections and so forth, instead of, well, we're not talking about part of it, but, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I was one ahead. So yeah, the nonpartisan, should we put that in there since it's
Certainly can.
All right, questions for that nonpartisan portion? Motion? It's real quick, guys. No, state your motion, please.
Make a motion to add nonpartisan to section 3, creation of composition council.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Beatty. Thank you, Mr. Peters. Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to add nonpartisan to that section where Ms. Barnes put it. Please vote. Any discussion? Anyone against it? Please vote. Now, Ms. Neighbors, you also had a comment about this. Would you like to bring it forward now?
Yeah, this was just food for thought. I asked if we needed 7 council members. The county commission has 5. We have a population of about 20,000 people, and the county has 200,000. So it's just for you guys to discuss. It was just something that I was thinking about.
Questions?
I have a procedural question.
Go ahead.
I've got about 3 comments on this section.
Okay. You want to bring forward as a motion, or you just?
No, just wanted to discuss it.
That's what motions are for, but all right, I'll allow it this time. You got 3 comments, go for it.
All right, just I'm throwing ideas out there, and one of them actually goes along with Ms. Neighbors' comment. We are a city of about 21,000. The county commission only has 5 members. We have 7. They are at-large members now. I also was going to bring up the idea of maybe going to districts, because I think we're to that point now. If you look at the city of Crestview, they are broken up into districts with a couple at-large. We could do the same if we kept 7, or you could do 5 districts and 2 at-large. And then I think any candidate should be a resident of the city for at least 1 year before qualifying.
All right, let me comment on that. Those are all motions. You know, I know you want to discuss
Yeah.
it, but if you want to make a motion to go from 7 to 5, make that motion.
Okay.
The
All right.
same way with,
All right.
with the districts, and the same way with the other one.
Okay,
1 year.
I'll start with the first one then.
Okay.
Well, yeah, once again,
These are all recommendations to the council, I get it, so.
well, you know, between 5 and 7, that's more of a, I'd actually like some research done.
So would you like to maybe put that off, postpone that till a further meeting?
Good.
All right, so make your motion, we'll see if we can get a motion to postpone. All you gotta do, Michael, that's what, I mean, we can sit here and talk forever, but
Sure,
if you
sure.
want to change something, that's what motions are for.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to direct the city clerk and city attorney, along with the city manager, to do research on similar sized cities on the number of elected officials they have.
Okay, and that to bring forward to us at a later meeting?
Yes,
All right, is there a second?
at the next meeting.
Second. All right, Mr. Beatty has made the motion to direct the city count, and is that for the 7 v. 5
Yes,
only? All
yes.
right, Mr. Peters has seconded to direct the staff to research the possibility of going through from 7 to 5 based on cities around us. Is that correct?
Similar sized cities
Okay.
in the area.
And you've already kind of spoken on that. Do you have anything else? Anybody opposed to this?
I'm opposed to this. I mean, I think we should allow as many people as possible up here, have as many seats available, give as many people as possible the option to get up here. So I don't see a need to reduce it to 5 or to waste the staff's time, you know, looking at what other cities are doing.
All right. Anyone else speak for this motion? Mr. Peters.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at that too. We've got, Niceville has 5, Shalimar 5, Oklahoma County 5, Marietta 5, Cinco Valle 5. Destin does have 7, and Fort Walton Beach has 7. So I think it's definitely something to look at, why there was ever 7 in the first place. And, you know, a lot of times it's difficult to get people to run. It hasn't been of lately. There's been times in the past where it's been difficult. We didn't know if there was going to be enough people run for seats on council. So I would definitely like to at least look into this and have the staff look into it a little bit.
Okay, someone else opposed? All right. Seeing none, let's vote. And it passes 5-2.
So can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. But if the motion was to do the research for localities that have a similar population, and Mr. Peters just basically told us everybody except Destin and Fort Walton Beach have 5, Destin and Fort Walton Beach have 7. So do we still need to do the research? Do you want to go outside of Okaloosa?
My motion didn't limit the area.
Okay.
Right.
So we'll look statewide.
You're just based on population,
Yep,
not just.
similar size cities. yes.
Okay, good. Thank you for the clarification.
Would you like to make a motion on districts?
Sure.
Or you want the staff to research districts, or you want to create?
No, I'll make a motion on that one. I think, you know, and it'll go back to how many we end up as a number for recommendation, but if we stick with 7, I'll make the motion to, well, I'll just make the motion to go to districted seats.
All right, and how are we going to do that? How are we going to create those districts?
Well, I mean, we're not making all the decisions
All right.
today.
All right, so the motion by Mr. Beatty is to create districts within Fort Walton Beach, and the city council would be represented by a district. Second,
I'll second that.
Mr. Peters seconded Mr. Beatty's motion, and once again, it was to create districts within the city of Fort Walton Beach. Spoken about it, want to speak again?
Yeah, just, you know, we could have, they could all be districts, they could, some be districts, some at large. I mean, that's up for further discussion later on, but I just think we are at the size that, you know, we've had times where you've had 5 council members from the same neighborhood on the council, and I think to have equal representation throughout the city, we should definitely look into going to districts.
All right. Someone opposed? Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, we discussed this previously on previous councils, and I was opposed at it at that time. And I think the system has worked like we've had it. The way the city's laid out, I think it would be very hard to break into any districts of any kind of fairness. And I don't see, from my experience, that it's been that much of a problem, except 1 or 2 instances. I think generally the council, this council, and past ones have always represented the entire city in its entirety. And so I'm not for districts.
Someone?
I agree with Mr. Holmes.
Wait, hang on, we'll get to you in a second. Anybody else to support this? All right, go ahead, Mr. Peters.
My only thing I'll say in that is it's, I mean, there's pros and cons to this, but I think in the big picture, you know, having a neighborhood have a representative that they can reach out to and get an answer, or a FaceTime, or whatever it may be, rather than sending out an email to city, you know, city council at fwb.org, and you're sending it to 8 plus the city manager and maybe even an attorney and clerk. Having a face, somebody in your neighborhood that you can go speak to in the walking by on the street or whatever, I think would be a positive for the community. But again, like I said, I think there's pros and cons to that as well.
Okay, thank you. Down to the park, you mean? Mr. Smith?
Like, I agree with Mr. Holmes. I think they should stay at large.
Okay, anybody else in favor? All right, I'm going to step off the chair a second. I oppose this. I think our city's not big enough. I mean, you know, people want to run because they live over in my neighborhood, that's fine. We're representing everyone, not representing your district. To me, you know, if you're representing everyone, you're caring for everyone. If you're district, you start looking out after your district and not the city at all. So I'm not in favor of this motion either. Anyone else? Please vote. And it fails. 2 yes, 5 no. All right. Moving on. Let's see where we are now. Section 4, limit on terms of city council and mayor. Is that right?
Excuse me.
What?
I think he'd also talked about the years. Of
Yeah.
the-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, living in-
You'd like to make a motion on the?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to change the residency requirements to 1 year for potential candidates, 1 year from qualifying.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Second? All right, Mr. Beatty made the motion and Mr. Taylor seconded to make the residency requirement for a city councilman 1 year. So I'd speak to that?
I just think 6 months is way too short. I think being here for a year, you at least get your feet wet, you know what's going on. You get an idea of the projects and everything like that. So I just think a year is a good time frame.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Go.
I don't oppose changing the time, but I think we need to make it 2 years.
So would you like to make a motion to amend?
I would like to make a motion to amend to 2 years.
Is there a second? Mr. Taylor seconds Mr. Holmes' motion to amend to change the time of residency from 1 year to 2 years. Mr. Holmes, would you like to speak to that?
You know, I was sitting on council before, and I think we could, some of the past councilmen, Mr. Berry, even some of the city council people, when they sit up here, it takes them 2 years to get acclimated to what's going on.
Excuse me.
And I think at my age, a year goes very fast. And I really, in some of it's even faster. But, I'm more inclined to 2 years. The people that's going to be sitting up here making the decisions for the majority of the city.
Okay. Someone to oppose?
Not opposed, but I wanted just to add to mine there.
Okay, hang on. Anyone oppose this motion? To change it to 2? All right, please vote. This is the amendment to change from 1 year to 2 years. And it passes 5 to 2. Now we go back to the main motion. The main motion is now to require the residency of a city council person to live in the city for 2 years. Anyone else like to speak about that? Opposed?
No, I made the motion for the 1 year, but I'm not opposed to the 2 year, so.
Okay.
I think 2 years is much more time for a person to invest into the city before they become.
All right. Anyone else? Please vote. This was the main motion.
Did I second
Tony,
that?
you seconded that.
Tony did, yeah.
Okay, so what we're voting on is that it's now 2 years. It shows on your
Yeah.
screen 1, but it's 2. All right. And it passes 5 to 2. All right. Thank you, Mr. Holmes, for bringing that to my attention. Section 4 is next. Limit on number of terms for city council and mayor. Ms. Barnes, you spoke about this. Would you like to elaborate?
Sorry, which one? I'm doing 2 roles here, so bear with me.
Section 4.
You want me to go with somebody else first?
Oh, you're good.
I
This
can
is
al-
2 consecutive terms.
Yeah, just remove the word full.
Okay, full.
Confusion about that during the previous.
Ms. Neighbors, you had it.
Either remove full or define it in our new definition section.
Remove it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hang on. We'll get to
Well,
that.
but here, let me just, and I'm not disagreeing, but the issue is if you remove it without defining it, then you have it saying more than 2 consecutive terms. You still might have the question arise as to what that means if you don't define it. Just food for thought, do it however y'all
I
think.
agree, that's actually one of my comments, so,
Right.
is to clarify that.
Or one of your questions,
Yeah,
right?
questions, yeah.
Ms. Neighbors?
My comment was for you guys to consider. I wrote, if the elected official resigns to run for another office, the official should not be able to be reappointed to that term. A resignation should count as a served term for purposes of election eligibility. We recently had someone that resigned to run for another office and did not win and came back and finished out the term, which I'm fine with. I think if you resign, that's okay, and you can go run for another office. However, if you wanted to stay at the city, you shouldn't go run for another office.
Questions for Ms. Neighbors? All right. I'd like to make a motion. My motion is no person shall be elected to the office of city council or mayor for more than 2 consecutive terms. If a council member declares candidacy for another elected position, that council member will resign immediately from the council seat. Declaring candidacy is defined as filling the appropriate paperwork with the supervisor election to run for another elected position. If the elected official resigns for any reason, they may not be reinstated for the same term, and if serving their second term, may not run for re-election. I have a copy for you, Ms. Barnes. I have a copy for you, Ms. Stout. That's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, the motion's been made by the chairman and seconded by Mr. Beatty, as I read. I believe that if you run for 2 terms, whether you complete that term or not, you cannot run for re-election. It happened this time. I totally disagreed with it. I do now. If it come in the resolution 25-23, I'm sorry, 23-22 states that, and it was in the resolution before, if a council member runs for another office, it is recommended that he resign or she resign from that position immediately. That did not happen. It was signed by all of the councilmen, but that did not happen. I think that is wrong as well.
Suggested, it says. I think it's.
It said suggested, yes. That's why I said will. And if an elected official resigns for any reason, they may not be reinstated during the same term. Someone else have opposed this motion? Did I get a second on this?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, Mr. Beatty, right. Someone else oppose this motion?
I'd like to make an amendment if possible.
All right, what's your amendment?
To add the language that no former city council person or mayor having served 2 consecutive full terms may be appointed to any vacancy on the council within 2 years of the last date of his or her second term. In any event, no person may serve as mayor or city council person for more than a cumulative total of 10 years.
Could you pass that down to me, please? I can't write that fast. Why don't you write it down for me? Wouldn't do any good. All right, so the amendment, is there a second to that?
I have a question. But
Okay, but let's get a second first.
Can you reread it?
All right, the amendment is to amend the motion that no former city council person or mayor having served 2 consecutive full terms may be appointed to any vacancy on the council within 2 years of the last day of their second term. In any event, no person may serve as mayor or councilman for a more than a cumulative total of 10 years. Second?
Does that replace the entire?
No, it only adds to it.
Okay.
Seeing no second, that motion to amend fails. All right, so we're back to the original amendment, original motion. Anyone else like to speak on that? All right,
I'll have
go ahead, sure.
this comment. Back to Kim's point, it doesn't define consecutive terms as full or partial.
All right, it's just consecutive terms. So if you're elected, whether it's 2 years or 4 years, that's a consecutive term.
You could say something like consecutive terms of any length, full, or, something to, I think it's still vague.
Okay, all right. Then, okay.
question.
Hank, you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Petey?
We're making a lot of motions today to change, or,
Right.
today's not the end all be all. We have multiple opportunities to make other changes, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And I want to point out, there may be, a legal question I have about something at some point that I may not address if I'm not sure. For example, 2-year residency. I know 1-year residency is acceptable. 2-year, not sure, going to research it. But things like that, I'm just going to get back to you at a future meeting if I think there's an issue. Thanks.
Okay, since I made the motion, I would like to motion to amend. First sentence does now state, no person shall be elected to the office of city council or mayor for more than 2 consecutive terms of any length. Second.
I'll second.
I think that answers the question. Anybody opposed?
I think there could be an issue there, say somebody was appointed due to a death or something for a real short term, they
Right.
might get appointed for a month, and then you're saying they can only serve out, they can only get elected one more time.
Well,
Is that your intention?
That's appointed. It wasn't elected. So what we're saying, the motion was elected.
Okay.
Okay? Anyone else? All right. So what we're voting on now is of any length, but we'll just do it real quick. Just vote real quick for any length adds to the original motion. Barnes says the hands are flying.
This is a lot of motions, Kim.
I know. Moving right along. Okay, this is just for the amendment. Would you like us to do show of hands for the amendment? Well, technology's supposed to get ahead.
There you go.
All right, there we go. Moved. And Mr. B seconded. And we still haven't done yet. Okay.
Unanimous.
All right, so now back to the original motion, which was, no person shall be elected for any length. That's what was added to the original. Any other comments? Vote.
No, I mean, I did make the second to the original and the amended, but Tony did bring up a good idea about maybe a maximum length. I know that's not part of this motion right now, but that may come up again. So I'll just leave it at that.
All right, just leave it at that, which is, nothing much.
Yeah.
Edie, how long were you here?
I was here long, I wasn't the one voting and making motions. though.
Real quick, that motion that he made is already not passed. There was no second to his
Did that?
motion, right?
Yeah.
No. So, if you want to bring it back up, motion to amend again, come on, guys.
Mike, we're not
I know, I
trying to solve
understand
this
it.
today. I mean, we have 6
But,
meetings.
no, we've got about 15, 35
I
different
get that.
sections.
I get that.
So all I'm trying to do, Mr. Beatty, is just move it through. If you got questions, ask questions. If you want to change something, you make a motion.
No,
Simple as that.
once again, I got to think on that one because that was something that stoked a little bit of thought when you brought that up.
Okay.
But I'm not ready to make a motion or
Okay,
amended
so we're
motion.
back to the original motion. You can bring that up maybe later. All right, so we're gonna vote on the original motion now, as amended.
Did you make it?
So,
I made the motion, it was seconded, this is the original motion.
Yeah.
This is the original motion. We passed the amended motion.
Right.
This is the original
so is
motion.
it not appearing for you? to-
No, it's all we're seeing is mover.
That's you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm supposed to click
Yep.
mover? Oh. Sorry about that. I was trying to keep up. Well, it's B, it's.
Tony? Okay.
All right. Now vote.
It's there.
We're good. Passed.
Cool. Moving on.
Mr. Sheriff, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can you explain how this process is going to work, and it might affect how we, how I vote on some of these items?
So what we're going through is, we're just a committee to make recommendations to the city council. So we're going through all of these that have made, that our staff has made recommendations, and they get to speak on those. And if we feel like something needs to be changed, then we make motions for those. But it's all going to the city council for approval.
I understand that, but then ultimately, it's got to go to the voters, correct?
And then ultimately goes to the public, correct?
And it's going to have to be item per item.
I'm not, yes, probably. I would imagine any changes. How will that work, Ms. Cobb?
2 points on that. One is, the council isn't bound by this committee's recommendations,
understand.
right? So all of it may not go to the voters. Whatever the council agrees with will go to the voters. And then as far as whether it's separate amendments or not, mostly they're going to be all separate. The only way I could see like one amendment that covers the whole charter is if we did something like fix the typos throughout, things like that. Then it would be multiple sections in one ballot question.
Okay, I just want to clear that up, because
That's a
that's
good
going
question.
to affect the way that I vote on some of these nitpicky little things
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Vote on what you like. All right, that was section 4. Now section 5, filling vacancies. Ms. Barnes, you have a comment about that, filling vacancies? You want me to look it up?
Anybody else not play?
No, you were the only one.
Ms. Barnes, I would have comments on this one if you didn't, so you can go first.
All right.
So, yeah, she had a comment on this. If you would like me to read it, Ms. Barnes, I can. Would you like me to read it? Your comment?
Oh, sure.
Your comment was on the last, I know you're getting ready over there and you're not not doing well. That seat shall be open in qualification next election. You guys all see that section? And then your comment was also include per COO section, in case 2 or more persons receive an equal or highest number of votes for the same office, such person shall draw lots to determine who shall be elected to the office. Duly elected municipal officers shall take office as stated in section 6 of the charter.
So this was basically back when we used to have the general and primary and general elections. So we don't have that. We have a municipal election, which that whole section needs to be redefined. And I'm asking Ms. Cobb to do that. She knows what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, there's multiple references to primary elections that no longer apply. And then it just really needs to say the next municipal election.
Okay, so that whole paragraph that she's highlighted and made a comment, all it needs to say is next municipal election. Is that correct?
We'll have to make some deletions to primary election, and we'll just have to make that consistent. I think the motion that we would request would be something like to make sure that this section complies with the current municipal election cycle, not the old primary and general.
Okay.
So
Mr.
we
B, you have
would
a
make
question?
whatever fixes we could.
Mr. B, do you have a question?
No, I don't.
Are you sure?
So the
Got a
city-
few comments, but yeah, no questions.
Just in case anyone doesn't know, the city elections are in March, right? So we don't go by the
Correct.
general election and primary election schedule.
And we only have the one, so that's why I was adding, we need to have something to break it tight.
Yes.
Oh, I do have a question, Mr. Chair. Did it used to be stated in the charter the elections would be in March, or is that not in there?
That was put in a statute. The statute was changed for our cities, right?
I don't know how it originally got changed here. I believe that's how it happened.
It was all of the cities.
Oh, you're talking about the general law that passed like many years ago.
Yes.
Yes. That's
And to turn
ancient,
it-
but yes.
Yeah, ancient. To
Yes.
turn it all over to the supervisor of elections, the city no longer ran their own election. They had a large municipal group that did it all at one time instead of doing it during the general and primaries.
And now different cities handle it different ways. Some of them are doing November and some of them are doing March.
and I was going to bring that up later. But
Okay, 1 second. So, Ms. Cobb, if you're talking about section C, please state what your recommendation is.
I was talking about the whole section 5.
The whole section 5?
Because there's other places in it, for example, even in 5A, if you look at 5A2, it says before the next primary election. So that whole section, what I'm talking about is if the city is going to continue to have March elections, there shouldn't be a reference to primary and regular or general elections.
Okay. So if we were to change this, we would just simply state, I'll tell you what, let's do. I think what we should do is we should just defer this until the next meeting. Come back with something that says something instead
Would you
of-
like me to put together with Kim a red line for you all to look at?
Please.
Kim and I can work on
Yeah.
that? Okay.
I was kind of hoping that would happen. So section 5 will be deferred until
Yes.
the next meeting unless someone has an objection to that. Okay.
But can I get, Mr. Beatty had a comment about the dates. Could I hear his comment?
Yeah.
That would be, if you.
I mean, I'll make a motion so it can be
To put
discussed.
it in here?
Yeah. I make a motion to,
Yeah. Go for it. It's all right.
to at least discuss moving the elections to the general election in November.
Second.
Okay, so at least
In
discuss.
even number of years.
So a proper motion would be to move it to the general election,
Yeah.
not to discuss. Okay.
Okay.
So your motion is
Yeah.
to move the city election to the general election. And now, my question about that, and seconded by
Second.
Mr. Smith. My question on that would be, you said that was done by ordinance? So if we put it in a charter, it supersedes that, correct?
If you put it in the charter, we would pass any ordinances to make the code comply with the charter. The charter is the governing document of the city.
Comments?
No, I think, this has been discussed before. We've seen a couple of the cities in the county go to November elections. I don't really know what the results have been, if it's been higher turnout or not, but I think when it was brought up to the council here before, it was at the right time. It wasn't brought up properly. And I think this is a perfect time to have that discussion.
And someone opposed? I'll speak in opposition to this real quickly because I was in the meeting when the supervisor election came forward. He said that a lot of times in general elections, there's so many things that will get stuck on the last page. We probably would have possibly a larger turnout. However, we would not be saving any money, according to what he said. So although it is a little different than what most other people do, I oppose this. Anyone else speak for this?
I'll speak for it. In the last general election, we had 9,500 people show out. So, I mean, I disagree with the super elections. And they all went to the last page and they all voted.
Right, right. All right, anyone else? Opposition? No? For?
No.
Opposition?
Oppose.
Okay.
Yeah, I know we visited it 2 or 3 times with the supervisor elections, and I just don't see that we're going to get the actual true feelings of the people that are more informed, that know more about the issues that are going on. And it was moved to this for a reason, and I don't see any reason that it hasn't worked properly. So I am opposing it.
Anyone else first time through? Second time, just as a comment, we had 9,500 people. I agree with that, but Trump is running, so I think that might add a little bit something to do with it. So, all right, anyone else? No? Please, okay, so just for clarification, this is the remainder of section 5 is going to come back to us. This will be added to section 5.
Okay.
All right? So please vote. DD. Motion didn't carry. 5 noes, 2 yes. All right. Let's run there. All right, that was section 5. Section 6 is regular and special meetings of council. All right, Ms. Barnes, you had 2. You want me to look it up? I know you're flying across. Go ahead.
So the swearing ceremony was set to happen on the first day of April, which could end up being on Saturday, Sunday, or whatever. So I was requesting or suggesting that it read at the first regular city council meeting in April or at a special city council meeting prior to the first regular city council meeting in April, and continues in the years in which there are elections of council members and so forth.
And your second one?
Special meeting shall be called by the clerk upon written request of the mayor, city manager, 3 members of the council, or as stated by resolution for rules of procedures for council meetings.
Okay,
The
all right.
rules of-
So let's, any questions about her first comments about first regular city meeting? Nope. All right, let's take a motion to add those words to the beginning that state at the first regular city council meeting in April.
I'll make a motion
Okay. Who was that?
to have.
Was that you, Mr. Peters?
First
Mr.
meeting.
Peters makes the motion and Mr. Taylor seconds to add at the beginning of the paragraph, at the first regular city council meeting in April or at a special city council meeting prior to the first regular meeting. Would you like to speak about that?
I've just, over the years, I've seen, I mean, it makes sense to have it at the first meeting. You have people, it's regularly scheduled, it's posted back in December, all the way through all the meetings in the following year, so it just makes sense to have it there, not on regular. So,
All right, and someone opposed?
Yeah, I'll make, well, opposition, I guess. What I would suggest is,
Want to make a motion to amend?
yeah, I will. I'll make a motion to amend, to hold at the first regular council meeting after the election. Because we had an unusual situation this year, or might have it every year, to where you had a new council, but you had the old council was still sitting. So it's unusual. I mean, to me, it seemed odd.
So the motion, your motion would be instead of the first
A specific day, it'd be the first
I
regular
got it.
council meeting after
the election.
the election.
Hang on one second. You second?
well, I was gonna ask for clarification. Does it have to be, is there a,
That's before the term, that's before the term date.
Okay.
The
Okay.
previous
Okay. So-
council doesn't
All right.
term out until March the 31st.
Okay. So, all right, cool. Thank you, Ms. Barnes. We'll, no second, no go. But it was a good, I thought the same thing when they came in and I'm like, hey, you guys are not gonna be here long. Any other comments on that part? All right, so let's vote on that first to add that first sentence.
I'm still showing us mover.
It's still coming, it's coming. Mr. Taylor, you second. I'm learning.
I'm catching up.
Yeah, you're doing good, better than me, that's for sure. All right, so the second suggestion by Ms. Barnes would be to change the sentence, special meetings shall be called by the clerk upon the written request of the mayor, city manager, 3 council members of the council. Did you want to strike "or" out of that?
You could call one in either form or fashion.
Okay. Or as stated by resolution for rules of procedure at council meetings. Question I would have is, this has already been done, correct? There's a resolution about council meetings that already addresses this, is that correct? So it would just be a continuation of what we do.
Right.
And I had the same question. There's a lot of duplicate items in both the charter and that resolution, so we probably need to clean that up at some point.
Yeah. My comment about that is that's up to the council. If it's in the charter, it doesn't need to be in the resolution, in my opinion. Anybody else on this change? All right, please vote.
Do we have a motion?
motion.
Yeah.
We didn't do a motion? All right, so, thanks. Oh, I was just trying to figure out who made the motion. So we have a motion, is there a motion? To this change?
Well, I guess
Is there a
my
motion?
question is where should this be? Should it be in the charter or should it be in the
Well,
resolution?
the recommendation was to put it in the charter. Oh, I see what you're saying. So if you don't put it in there, it doesn't happen. So you would probably want to say, just delete the whole thing. It's not going to be in the charter. So we're still working on a motion there.
I make a motion to remove this from the charter and have it in a resolution.
All that entire sentence,
Correct.
all right?
What sentence are we talking about?
It starts with special meetings, ready? Special meetings shall be called by the clerk upon written request of the mayor, city manager, 3 members of the council. That's what it says right now, or as stated by the resolution. The motion by Mr. Peters is to remove that sentence.
You see, the sentence previously says, the council shall meet at such times as may be prescribed by resolution.
Yeah, so it doesn't
Meeting or
really
a
need to
special
be there.
meeting,
Right. So, right. So this really doesn't apply because the previous sentence states that it can be required, it can be called there. Council shall meet at such times as may be prescribed by resolution. So this sentence would be, to remove this sentence would be a proper motion, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Barnes? All right, Mr. Peters made that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Holmes, seconded. You want to talk about this, Mr. Peters?
Yeah, I mean, it states it right before that sentence that it should be in a resolution, and therefore, I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. It's established, the meetings are established by resolution anyway in December.
Someone opposed?
I think it's specifically talking about special meetings, though. It isn't,
But it says
isn't the
maybe-
first one regular meetings?
No, the first one is they may meet anytime. It's in the resolution, so.
I would think leave it in the charter and take it out of the resolution as far as the special meeters.
Well, once again, as Ms. Cott pointed out, there's so many things that are in that resolution that are already in the charter. And you know, my opinion of that would be that if it's in the charter, you can't make a resolution. I mean, it's in the charter.
If it's in the charter, you can't make a resolution that conflicts with it.
Right,
I mean, and it's also not needed to be in 2 places.
correct.
So, and I guess the difference is, you know, a resolution can be changed by the council at any time.
Right.
So if you put something in the charter, it's staying there unless there's a public referendum where a majority of the residents vote in favor of it. So it's a lot harder to change the charter. So when you vote on those things, you can think about that.
So am I understanding that you oppose this motion to remove that?
That's correct. I think,
Okay, okay.
I think it should stay in the charter and
Okay.
come out of the resolution if necessary.
Anyone else?
I just think we may have to wordsmith this, you know, just to make sure it addresses everything appropriately. We don't have to do it today. I'm in favor of removing that line, but
Okay,
we just need to make sure it's addressed.
okay. All right. Not really sure what you said, but,
That's fine.
I think what he's saying, he's in favor of replacing it with something else later on.
okay, so right now, so we're trying to take this in order.
It's our first bite of the apple.
Yeah, I know, but you know, we're not gonna come back to section 1 after we get to section 30. So.
Not today.
I guess we got 6 months, don't we? All right, so, anyone else?
Yes, I mean, it says therefore the council shall meet at such times as prescribed by resolution. So it says it in the charter that it's done by resolution, so you can do a resolution to set times and dates whenever the council chooses through a
Right.
resolution.
Right.
So the next sentence doesn't even need to be in there.
Correct,
Because
and
it
that's
is
the
in the charter,
motion.
but it says it's done
And
by
that is the
resolution.
motion. All right, anyone else?
I'll just make the point against what Mr. Peters is saying, that by resolution, you could change it. Once it's in here and the way it's set,
Correct.
it can't be changed.
That's correct. All right, please vote.
Is it up for your motion or not? Jeff, do you see the
Yeah.
motion?
Motion, second.
I click motion.
Who second?
I think Holmes.
Holmes second.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mr. Smith, you and I are still holding hands here. Passes 5-2. Election of mayor and mayor pro tem, general duties of mayor. Ms. Barnes?
Same as earlier, just adding that it's a nonpartisan election.
All right.
And you want me to
I got you.
go on?
Just all you're adding is nonpartisan, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, anyone else have any questions about adding nonpartisan election?
I have another
Jeez.
motion for this.
Okay, when you get to the motion, how about, do you have any questions about what's adding nonpartisan? All right. Anyone else? All right, so how about a motion to delete or add nonpartisan?
So I'll move to add nonpartisan as per the city clerk's recommendation.
Second.
And Mr. Peters seconds. Anyone, any discussion?
Is it not nonpartisan now, or is it?
It is, but puts it in the chart. All right, anyone else? Click the box. Mr. Beatty? All right, and Chief Bayes, you had a comment about this as well.
I did.
Come up.
I bet I know which part it's on.
Gotta make sure I'm here, huh?
He's there.
So my comment was at the, I don't have my comments in front of me, so I'm about to paraphrase my comments, but it was at the very end, it talks about, in time of public danger or emergency, the mayor shall, if so authorized, be directed by vote of council to take command of the police and maintain order and enforcement of the law. And I don't know if you have my comment there or not, Mike,
I
or
have.
Jeff has it for me.
You said that you took out of the council, the sentence read, good Lord, that's.
So I can read it for you.
Yeah.
So I just have, if so authorized and directed by vote, declare a state of emergency and implement any reasonable actions to include setting a curfew. So I don't think the mayor is actually ever going to take over control of the police department, but I do think that the mayor should have the ability, upon vote of the council, to declare states of emergencies. You see that commonly done in other cities, and to declare curfews.
Right. So your recommendation is to remove the words "of the council, comma, take command by the police, maintain order and enforce the law," and add, declare a state of emergency and implement any necessary actions to include setting of curfews.
Correct.
Any questions about that?
I'd like to ask your opinion on something.
Yes, sir.
No, it's, I'm kind of trying to pin it down a little further and not leave any broad or open interpretation here. And I basically said, so authorized and directed by vote of the council, declare by proclamation the state of emergency as permitted under Florida statutes and under the Code of the City ordinances of Fort Walton Beach, the city of Fort Walton Beach, and coordinate relative emergency responses with the police chief and fire chief appropriately.
Okay, well, Mr. Taylor, you can make that a part of your motion.
Well, I was just asking how you felt about that language.
Well, right, well, however
I'm fine
he
with
feels
that
about it,
language.
yes, it's some kind of, yeah.
Now, the code does designate an emergency manager,
It does.
so.
Yeah, right.
Can
Any
I
other
ask the
questions?
chief a question?
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I better understand why you're taking out "of the council"? Why do you want it to say "vote" without "of who"?
I mean, that may have just been an overstrike.
Oh, okay.
I'm fine with a vote of the council.
Okay.
My
I was
part
just trying to get the
of
intent.
mayor.
Okay. Because if it's not in there, is it a vote of the resident? I mean,
It could be vote of the council.
okay.
Okay, so you want to leave that in, vote of the council. All right, Mr. Taylor, any other questions for, you want to make a motion?
My motion is to Strike,
Sit
take,
down here when you're done.
strike, take command of the police, maintain order and enforce the law, and add declare by proclamation a state of emergency as permitted under Florida statutes and/or the codes and ordinances of the city of Fort Walton Beach, and coordinate relative emergency responses with the police chief and fire chief appropriately.
Second.
Second, then Mr. Taylor's made a motion, and second by Mr. Smith, to remove, take command of the police, maintain order, enforce the law, declare by proclamation a state of emergency as permitted under Florida statutes and/or the codes and ordinance of the city of Fort Walton Beach, and coordinate relative emergency responses with the police chief and fire chief appropriately. Mr. Taylor, your motion?
That's my
Like,
motion.
Speak, I know. Would you like to speak about it a little bit more? Or are you good with
I
that?
think it speaks for itself.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Okay, let's vote. If I can find my mouse.
Unanimous.
Yep. All right, which moves us next to which section?
I have a question.
Okay.
The mayor pro tem is elected annually, right?
Yes.
I was gonna make a motion to, at the end of the second sentence, the mayor pro tem shall be chosen by and from the members of the council on an annual basis.
Okay, so basically, Mayor Pro Tem shall be chosen by and from the members of council on an annual basis. You just add the words "at" on an annual basis. Okay, that's a motion. Second? Second. Mr. Peters seconds Mr. Beatty's motion to add the words "on an annual basis." Do you want to speak about that a little bit more?
No, I just wanted to clarify because
I
it
got you.
doesn't set a time frame.
Anybody opposed to that? Nope. Let's vote. All right, that was election of mayor, mayor pro tem. So that moves us to section 8.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, hit the middle of section 7.
Okay.
The part I have highlighted says against interfering with or suggesting to the city manager. In section 14, those are not consistent. I'm not making a recommendation on which they should be. I just think because they're referencing similar situations,
Okay, please say that again, please.
in the middle of the paragraph, it states, the mayor shall be subject to the same prohibitions against interfering with or suggesting to the city manager. But in section 14, it says,
It prohibits the council from giving orders.
yeah, the language is just different in both of those, but it's referring to the same thing. Council in one section and the mayor in the other. That's my
Mm-hmm. But in the
question.
mayor, it says suggest, right?
Yeah.
And in the council one, it says order. Is that your point?
That and just the language that it says that they should or shouldn't do. It says, yeah, it says against interfering with or suggesting. But then 14 says direct, request, give orders. And so,
Okay, let me just one more time, show me the sentence in section 7. Bill, excuse me for, where is that?
right in the middle, the mayor shall be subject to the same
I
prohibitions.
got you, I see it now.
Against interfering with or suggesting, that phrase.
Against interfering with or suggesting to the city manager. And in section 14, what sentence?
The very first sentence, it says, neither the council nor any of its committees or members shall direct or request the appointment.
Okay,
And then there's another one, direct or request. Give orders, there's another place in there.
It's-
Again, we can work on that with Ms. Cox and come back with
Okay, that would be a
suggestions
good
for
idea.
next time,
to
if
to
that's
resolve that.
allowable.
Go ahead.
There's the 7, that's what the first one's referring to the mayor. So 14, are you suggesting say meet with the council, comma, mayor, comma, nor any of its committee?
Well,
Committees or members?
the two sections are about sort of two different, like the first one is about the mayor. It doesn't mention the council in there.
Right.
But it's referring to the council in the other one. So it's just the implication of what the sections are meaning. They should be the same for the mayor that they are for the council, and that's not
Yeah,
appearing
or-
to be the same.
Or you could take it out of both sections and have a separate section, interference with city manager, and just say, the mayor and the city council can't do that. Not in
Yes.
those words.
All right, so why don't you, if it's agreeable to everyone, why don't you two come up with your solution to that and recommend it at the next meeting? Is that agreeable to everyone? We don't need to vote, just kind of nod. There we go. All right, fine. Section 8, general powers and rules of the council. Ms. Barnes, you had 3 comments.
I'll think next time.
I'm looking at Chief Bays. Chief Bays, you want to go first?
Yeah, I just have one small comment. It's just more food for thought for the committee, because I don't know how this would actually go if we were just throw some things out there and give you things to think about. My comment was that you talk about the sanctioning of other council members, and it said you needed a vote of 6. So that'd be the one member that is probably being sanctioned would not vote, or probably vote not to sanction themselves. That would leave a unanimous council. My only suggestion there was make it 5. That way it's still a vast majority of the council, but you don't need a unanimous vote of council from the remaining members.
All right. All right, so basically changing 6 to 5. The sentence would then say, it shall have power to compel the attendance of absent members, may punish its members for disorderly behavior, and by vote of not less than 5 members may expel a member for disorderly conduct or violation of the rules, but no member shall be expelled unless notified of the charges and given the opportunity to be heard. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any questions on that? Elevator?
I make a motion to move to 5.
All right.
Second.
All right, so the motion made by Mr. Peters and seconded by Mr. Beatty is to change the word 6 in that sentence to 5. Comments?
I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think
Yeah, I had the same comment, actually.
Anybody opposed? Please vote. What happened to my mouse? I want a touch screen. It is a touch screen?
Uh-huh.
Jeez. Man, you guys got nice stuff. All right, that was section 8. Ms. Barnes, you had some comments there as well.
That first section, I think the city attorney and I can also do changing from the general election to a municipal election. The city, doesn't handle its own election, so that's the supervisor of elections. So I think we can add that or change it. to
Okay, so
comply
you're
with
going to
the
bring
previous.
that back as well?
Yes.
All right, so you guys are keeping track of all these, right?
Yes.
So the remainder of section 8, we had 2 comments. Was that covers it both? May punish its members disorderly behavior?
I just had a question on that. Where are those defined? Should those be defined in the definitions that we are considering putting in?
Maybe a motion would be to include a definition of disorderly behavior and punish.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm actually working on some specific language that maybe I can present at another meeting for something like this to bend it down
Okay.
a little bit.
All right, so we'll move that to the next meeting. Please coordinate that with Ms. Kopp, all right, so we know it's included.
Thanks.
All right. That was 8. 9, section 9. Quorum compelling attendance of members. No comments from any staff? Any questions? Motion?
I'd like to make a motion to, at the end of that, to pin on some, I'd just like to pin things down a little bit more than Ron, but make a motion to, at the end of section 9, add "or where other conflicts of interest, both personally and in consideration of business and/or family exists."
Okay, so the end of that would say, my memory's not that good.
Okay, "or where other conflicts of interest, both personally and in consideration of business and/or family exists."
All right.
So I'll just jump in there because Florida law covers this pretty specifically. Maybe we can just say, add when allowed by Florida law for any conflict of interest or any conflict of interest recognized by Florida statutes, something like that, because we have the ethics code and various statutes that tell council members when they can and can't vote. In fact, they're required to vote unless an exception in the statute exists.
What she said.
Okay, so
I'll work on it with.
okay, so all right, that'll be fine. I think it probably it can stay, remain, and because it's already covered in Florida statute. And if we're not doing something that's different than what Florida statute says, we have to abide by that. Also, just real quick, if you have a long motion to make, I know you highlighted, I know you typed it out. Please kind of type it out and pass it down to me so I can make sure I read it properly. Okay, just like I've passed out to the other ones. All right, so yeah.
Is there anywhere that kind of sets the standard for attendance for council?
It says 5's a quorum.
I'm talking
what
about
you're
missed
saying.
meetings.
I believe, Ms. Cobb, if I'm not incorrect, it says that you can compel a member to attend. The city council by vote can compel a member to attend.
But I don't believe the city has anything that says, for example, if you miss 4 consecutive meetings, you can be disciplined or something like that.
It does for boards and
But not for
committees,
council.
but not for council,
Right.
to my knowledge.
Okay.
So to your point, if you wanted to clarify, because here it says you can compel attendance or punish members, one of the items that you can add, and you said you were looking at the disorderly conduct, but you could figure out how many consecutive unexcused absences. So for example, let's say, God forbid, a council member got sick and the council wants to vote to excuse an absence. You don't want him or her to get kicked off in that case. But if someone just decided, I'm not going to go to the next 3 council meetings, you might want to say there's a consequence.
All right. So how would
I'll work on something for future.
Section 9 can be brought back to us as well. Make sure you coordinate with Ms. Cobb so we know it's coming back. All right, section 10, investigations of transactions of departments and officials. I have no staff input on that. Any questions? Motion? No motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that the city manager must be a resident of the state of Florida. And,
That's an 11.
That's 11.
oh, that's the next one. I thought, I have to have it. Okay, sorry. No, I don't have anything on there.
Keep an eye on that one. I'm looking down at the highlighted page. All right. No, hell no. Sorry. All right, so now we are at, so there was no motion on section 10, so it remains the same. Section 11, city manager, acting manager, assistant manager, appointment, qualification, and salary. Chief Beige and Ms. Neighbors.
My comment was already made, so me and Tony Taylor have the same thought on that one.
Must be a resident of the state of Florida.
Yes.
Is that correct? All right, so let's just go, Mr. Taylor, your motion is to add, but must be a resident of the state of Florida.
That's correct.
All right, does everybody see that?
Yeah.
And that's a motion, second?
I was going to amend the motion.
Okay, let's get a second first, all right? Any second? Going once?
Can you clarify, does that mean once they've been hired, they must be,
Just says it must be a
It
resident.
doesn't say candidate, it says city manager.
Right.
I guess
Second.
the intent is to let them live outside the city limits, or even county.
But not now.
Well, no, actually, it's state.
Florida?
Yeah, I know.
Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, Mr. Peters, thank you. Mr. Taylor, would you like to, well, pretty much stands on its own. Anybody oppose this? All right, Mr. B, you want to make an amendment?
Yes,
Go for it.
I was going to amend it to say they must be a resident of Okaloosa County within 6 months of the date of hire.
Okay, so it would state, hold on here.
I'll second that.
Second. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let me catch up here. So the motion is, must be a resident of the state of Florida, comma, must be a resident of this Okaloosa County
Within 6 months of the date of hire.
within 6 months, Okaloosa County. All right. You want to talk to that motion? This is an amendment to the original motion, which the original motion was, must be a resident of the state of Florida. This is an amendment to say you have to live in Okaloosa County within 6 months of hire. Anybody else want to talk about that? All right.
I'll just make a comment. I mean,
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I could see where you could live in Windhaven Beach or Emerald Bay and you're closer than you are to Crestview.
Right.
From here, they're two different counties that are closer than,
Do you oppose this?
so I would, yeah, I think I would oppose it, but the state of Florida, the original motion,
Okay, so you oppose the Okaloosa County amendment? Not now. My apologies. I turned my phone off. My watch, I don't know how to do it. So you oppose this motion? All right, anyone else in favor? Anyone else opposed? All right, so the motion that we are addressing right now is the amendment to the original motion. It states that you must be a resident of Okaloosa County within 6 months of hiring. All right. Got it? Please vote. Hey, mine's not touchscreen. And it passes 6-1. Mr. Peters voted no. All right. Now, back to the original motion, which is, must be a resident of the state of Florida. Anyone else have anything to say about that? Please vote.
is that motion relevant now?
I mean, that's not, yeah.
No, it's state of Florida. What we voted down was Okaloosa County.
Oh, we voted for Okaloosa County.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. So that, but it was amendment. So, all right.
You win.
So the original motion was state of Florida. We
Well-
probably should still vote on it because it was the original. No, we don't have to. You got to be Okaloosa County.
I was just thinking about what.
All right.
If you're in
Next.
Okaloosa, you're in Florida.
There you go.
Even though they're-
I'm not so sure about some places, but, all right. Section 12.
No, we're still in.
Yeah, we're still on.
Still in 11?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's okay. What we got? What am I missing? Miss Neighbors? Still in 11. Yep. Miss-
I just wanted to say that maybe we should add language in case the city manager is not appointed within the time frame. I don't think it's ever happened. It's like, what, 290 day? But what happens if we can't hire a city manager within then?
All right, would you say that again a little slower, please?
I just was wondering if we should add language in case a city manager is not appointed within the time frame, because we have that 90, was it 90 day? And then another 90 day, and then after that, what if, what if Mr. Davis for some reason wasn't hired, and then we could, should there be language in there that
I
covers
followed
that?
most of that until you kind of rumbled on there. So basically, is there questions there? Let me,
Suggestions.
suggestion, okay. 11, see, 11 continued.
I have a question,
Okay, go ahead.
but I'm not sure who to direct it to. In the past, I don't know that we've had an assistant city manager. And I know some of the past city managers would appoint an acting city manager when they left. But as to Ms. Neighbors' point, if it did go over 90 days or 180, then where does that leave the council? Because there's nothing that says there is more time to hire somebody. And maybe some of the past city managers could chime in. It's just something that needs to be more yes, we need to have a assistant city manager.
So so basically it says we do not have an assistant city manager. Is that something you want brought back, or you want to make a motion on appointing that position? I'm not so sure.
I was going to make a motion to remove any reference to an assistant city manager because that should be a city manager function. On
I'll
whether
support
to
that.
Okay, hang on. So your motion is to remove any
Reference
reference to assistant city
in
manager?
the charter.
In the charter.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion from Mr. Beatty and seconded by Mr. Holmes is to remove any mention of assistant city manager in the charter.
And the reason being that is an administrative function. If the city manager wants to create that position or appoint someone to that, then they should have that right.
Okay, someone opposed? Speak again for it?
Would that solve the question if we didn't appoint a manager or hire a manager within the 2 consecutive times? We would assume that the new city manager would already have an assistant,
Well,
or that's going to be entirely up to,
yeah, so I think there is a problem there with the 90 days because we don't know what to do if we don't get a city manager within 90 days. If there was an assistant city manager at the time, great, that person could probably do it. But what if there's not?
Okay, so hold up, before we get way offline here, the motion right now is to remove assistant city manager. So is what you're saying is you're opposing that?
no.
Okay,
I
so let's
second
just,
it.
and then we can go into the next thing eventually, but that's the motion right now. Someone oppose that? All right, so let's vote on that. All right, so move on to the 90 day. What's the question about the 90 day?
I would like to make a motion to remove the 2 consecutive 90-day terms.
It's the last sentence.
Okay, it's the last sentence. So basically you want to get rid of the whole last sentence?
Limiting, correct.
Okay, so your motion is to eliminate the sentence that states the council has limited the appointment of the acting city manager or to 2 or 90 days, terms, right? Correct? All right.
Second, I'll second. Jeff got it. Yeah, he got it. Hey, my name's
All right.
in here, done.
I know, good Lord. All right, so you want to speak to that anymore?
As we've seen before, the sitting council appoints an interim manager at that time,
Right.
which could handle the government and the duties of the city manager. And 90 days, as we've seen last time, could put you under a time frame, depending on many things, hurricane or anything like that.
Got it.
And so I really don't think the council should be held to a certain amount of time on that.
Okay, someone opposed to this?
Is there any statutory reason for that?
No.
No.
Are you opposed? Or just a question? Okay, all right, anybody, anything else, anyone else? Oh.
Yeah, just real briefly, I mean, it could very well happen, and it happened with me a few years ago, when you could, with that second 90-day term could come right up to the changeover of the council. And the last thing you want to do as a city manager coming in, a new one, and you got a changeover of possibly 4 different council members 2 weeks later.
Right.
And you don't want to get into that
So
situation.
you are supporting this motion?
Absolutely.
All right, anyone else? Let's vote. Section 12, city manager responsibilities, power of appointment and removal. Chief Beige, you first.
Mine's a very brief comment, and towards the very end of that paragraph, it says without terms, but then the next clause, you define the terms for temporary people to 60 days. So I think if you have without terms, that suffices. You don't need that second clause in that last sentence.
So basically, you eliminate the last sentence unless for temporary service not to exceed 60 days. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Any questions about that? We'll get to Miss Neighbors here in just a second. I need somebody that speaks speed English. All right. Is there a motion to eliminate that last portion? Unless for temporary service not to exceed 60 days.
Motion.
Taylor, that's interesting. You move, go ahead and state it so we know what
Okay,
we're talking about.
Eliminate the last sentence. All such appointments shall be without definite terms unless the temporary service not to exceed 60 days.
All right, Mr. Taylor's made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Beatty seconds it. Mr. Taylor, you want to speak to that anymore? Anybody opposed? Anybody want to speak in affirmative? All right, let's vote. All right, so neighbors, we talked about officers and directors.
Right.
So, and you want to talk about how it's versed awkwardly, or did you just want to?
We can move on.
Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Because you didn't offer to correct the English. Where'd you get that, by the way? Or were you an English major? All right, section 13, removal of officers. There was no staff input on that. Oh, wait a minute.
We discussed it earlier, that we're just gonna fix that throughout.
Okay, good. Section 14, council not to interfere in appointments or removal. Is that also going to be fixed, as I recall? All right, so we'll bring that back.
Mike, I just have one comment.
Okay, come on.
So my only comment to that was that there are two unique positions, and I wrote, except public safety chiefs, police and fire chiefs, the consent of the council will be obtained for hiring and removal. And the only reason when I was reading through all this, I was going back and thinking about my hiring process and chiefs around other cities. It's a very public process. It's usually done with public meetings, very similar to how the city manager was hired. And Michael Beatty was here at the time, and he probably won't answer the question because it would be a charter violation, but there's probably some level of, I guess, I'm trying to think of the proper word, but some level of agreement of the council when they hire a police chief or possibly even a fire chief. And at least this way it can be done out publicly versus being done indirectly in the shadows. Some level of consensus is the word I was looking for possibly. And I've seen it done in other cities where at least those two positions do get some type of consent from a governing board when you, not for the actual selection, but once the selection is made, the council just consents to the pick of the manager. And I just threw that out for thought.
All right, I have a question. You mentioned the meet and greet when they were hiring the city manager. Also, that happens with other directors. We have meet and greets. But that meet and greet doesn't really, give some sort of consensus. Of course, in this case, it's the council, whereas if the city manager has a meet and greet we did one when we hired Mr. Peters for the Parks and Rec. So you're saying for the police chief and the fire chief, there should be some sort of consensus for the city manager?
I was saying that my process was very extensive. Mine was meetings of community groups,
Right.
it was 2 days of interviews, there was a meet and greet, there were council people that said, yes, you were the pick, you're the one that we wanted. So I don't know how much of that gets done behind and how much of that gets done overtly, but I think this brings a little bit more transparency to the process, and I have seen in other cities where those two positions are a little bit more unique, and we talked about it previously in the state of emergency. There is some intertwining between those two positions and possibly the council more so than other positions. I would say the police chief and fire chief. And like I said, that was just a comment as more food for thought when I was writing through the agenda.
Does this, other than that sentence, conflict with any of the other hiring practices of the city manager?
I don't know offhand. I would have to check the employee manual.
Right. All right.
We can look into that and put that on our list of things to bring back. for more
Let's see if anybody else have questions on this?
I got one for Chief.
Go for it.
Just a quick question. You're saying that, a city council member could recommend this, hey, I like that police chief. He wouldn't be directly telling you need to hire. I think that.
Correct. I would say the manager
That may
is-
be preventing that, but they could say, hey, I do like that. That'd be a good choice
Yes.
for you.
Would that not be the case with any director? I mean, if you have a meet and greet for any director, I mean, the council's going to say to the city manager, yeah, I kind of like that guy.
If you read your charter, technically, it would be a violation of the charter right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Any motion? All right, seeing none, go to section 13. Actually, section 15, sorry about that. Skip duties of the manager, and there was no staff input. City manager, would you like to chime in on that? You're good? Okay. Been here all day. It's way to the office. All right, any motion, any questions? All right, any motion? No motion? Moving on. Section 16, manager and officer's right to participate in council meetings. Any questions? No staff input? All right. Any motions? Nope. So that, section 17, administrative departments. Let me catch up here real quick. All right, section 17. Chief Bays, you had comments?
I'm actually on 18.
You were on 18?
I have nothing on 17.
Okay, my mistake, Ms. Neighbors. Ms. Neighbors?
No,
No? Okay.
I had one on
Ms.
that.
Barnes, I know you do. I was just working my way through. You're next.
Sorry.
You're good.
Um,
I got a lot of pages to look at.
So it states in there that with the exception of the police or fire department, which shall require either a unanimous vote of the council or require a public referendum to discontinue. It says to discontinue. Does this include contracting out the service and or merging with another agency? Would that have to be considered under the same methods?
Okay, let me read it. Now, anybody have a question on this?
I mean, see how they use the word discontinue at the end, but they don't use the other words that they used earlier, which are prescribe and distribute? That
Right.
would lead me to believe that the council can prescribe or distribute or merge. But the only thing that would require a unanimous vote of the council or a public referendum would be to discontinue. That would be my interpretation, but y'all are welcome to clarify or change, recommended change.
Mr. Chair, can I provide some historical context?
You may.
So that charter amendment was passed when a consolidation effort was taken on for law enforcement services for the city.
Okay.
And it was to stop the consolidation of services without a unanimous vote of the council or referendum of the citizens. So to Ms. Barnes's thing, I think if you went back and looked at the original intention of the change in that charter language, it would be to stop anything that would consolidate, merge, or anything else besides the current level of service that's being provided by in-house employees.
That's
I believe
correct.
Mr. Beatty was here at the time.
That's right. But if we need need to clarify the language.
Yeah, because that's not really.
Okay, so you have a motion? I hear you.
Let's work on that,
All right.
Yeah.
That'd be another one you'll bring
or
back?
unless,
I have a motion.
Okay.
You're gonna have to,
Oh, my God.
you can read that.
12 pages?
I can
You
read it, yeah.
first, and then I'll take a look at it.
Again, I like to pin some of these things down a little bit more.
Okay.
There is a question, and who knows how long it would take to Willie to answer that question.
You're good.
I'd like to strike with the exception of the police or fire department, which shall require either a unanimous vote of the council or requires public referendum to discontinue. I'd like to add, accepted from the provisions of this section are the police and fire departments. It is further established and determined by this charter that the city of Fort Walton Beach shall maintain police and fire departments autonomous of other law enforcement and fire departments, notwithstanding the necessity of mutual aid agreements with other law enforcement agencies and fire agencies, absent a unanimous vote of the city council and public referendum, neither the police department or fire department may be disbanded, discontinued, merged, contractually replaced, defunded, or otherwise significantly diminished beyond minimal capabilities of providing quality public safety services to the city of Fort Walton Beach. Additional functions and duties may be assigned by ordinance to the police and fire departments commensurate with their respective public safety disciplines.
Why don't you hand that to Ms. Cobb? Ms. Cobb, take just a second to review that, please.
All right.
And then I'll take about 5 minutes to reread it. That motion has been made, but not seconded, so we'll see here.
Yeah, so you're doing a couple of things. One is you're ensuring that police and fire remain in the city of Fort Walton Beach, separate, autonomous from any other police and fire, so they don't merge. Then you are acknowledging that sometimes we have to use mutual aid agreements, so that's good because we do. And that's with other law enforcement and fire. And then you're saying you're explicitly saying you're not going to discontinue, merge, or in any way significantly diminish beyond minimal capabilities for providing quality public safety services, police and fire. And then you're adding at the end, additional functions and duties can be assigned by ordinance to police and fire as long as it's commensurate with respective public safety discipline. So I think the policies are broken out that way that you can vote on. The specific language, a lot of it is fine. I might simplify it a little bit, but if you want to vote on it, and then we can just suggest maybe making it slightly less wordy, but getting to the same thing.
Why don't we do this? Why don't you and Ms. Barnes take a look at it and bring it back so that it says the same thing, but just in a little less, sorry if she takes that.
Okay.
Okay.
Not a
Do you
problem.
need this, or can I keep it?
So
You can-
without,
Thanks.
unless anybody wants to second the motion right now, then we'll wait for that to come back, okay?
Okay.
All right. Where are we at?
Y'all are a little bit past halfway through to 5
Right.
o'clock. Can we take a 5-minute break?
Absolutely.
All right, and I'm going to get a copy of Kim.
Make it 10. 10 minutes recess. I was going to do that 10 minutes ago, but everybody's been on a roll.
Leave it to the women.
we are, back again. So we're on item 18, departments to be supervised by director. Chief Beige had one comment, and it was at the end where it says the city manager may act as a director of any one or more department if the city council so provide by, and he had ordinance and he said resolution. Is that correct, Ms. Cobb? Or should it be resolution or ordinance?
I'm sorry,
Okay,
resolution
so
or
we're on
ordinance?
item 18.
Oh, you're on 18.
Yeah, I know, I just went through that
Sorry,
break.
yes.
You were getting coffee, I was trying to reshuffle.
Okay.
All right, item 18, the last word says ordinance. The chief recommended resolution, which would be correct.
I think a resolution would be more correct. However, there's another place in this charter that refers to ordinance as well. I think it was section 17, actually.
Yeah, but it does. It says, therefore changed by ordinance, the last sentence.
Yeah, so it would be both that you would change.
All right, so which is more correct?
I mean, if you put something in an ordinance, it's usually a regulation that you want to be able to enforce, as opposed to a resolution, which is more of a policy. So I think this is a policy thing. I would say a resolution.
On both?
Yeah.
All right, so any other questions? So what I will do is invite a motion on section 17 to change the last word from ordinance to resolution.
Motion.
Okay, you move. Go ahead and state it.
Change the last word ordinance to resolution.
All right.
Section
thank you.
17.
And Mr. Peters seconds. Obviously, it's just a word change. Anybody have any comments?
Can you do 17 and 18, because you're doing the both
Yeah, we can do the
sections?
same.
Ordinance is in there a couple more times in section 17 as well.
All right, so wait 1 second. Let me go back and look.
If you might want to do it one at a time, because I might support one but not the other.
All right, let's just do it one at a time then. So,
Can I amend my motion?
you may.
I'd like to change all
Did you get a
references
second?
to ordinance in section 17 to resolution.
All right, that amendment.
Second.
And Mr. Peters seconds. Any comments? All right, please vote. Since that amendment kind of made it all null and void. So, Department, Section 18, any motions? I know
Motion to change all references to, from ordinance to resolution in section 18.
Yeah, it's in there a couple times. Second.
That's, okay, so the motion is to, in section 17, to change any reference to ordinance to resolutions, and that's been made by Mr. Taylor and seconded by Mr. Peters. Mr. Taylor, obviously, just kind of any other comments? Anybody
I
opposed?
don't think that would be correct, because it says not inconsistent with this charter and the ordinance is passed. So I mean, it's,
Where are you? I'm sorry. Are you
We're
in
at
18?
I'm in 18.
You're in 18,
So,
okay.
I mean, if there's an ordinance, you can't change it by resolution. I mean, I agree with changing the last sentence, but
You're in
just
18?
quickly reading 18.
I see what so your issue is that the motion included all references to ordinance,
Right,
not the
yes.
ordinance at the end. Yeah, I mean,
You want to amend the
that first ordinance is used differently and probably does need to stay.
Okay, so amendment to change, to eliminate the first change.
You want to amend your own motion?
Either one of you, doesn't matter.
I can't. Just change the last word ordinance to resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then second?
Second.
Okay, so let's go, anybody else? Let's vote on that. So that just changed it to the last one, and that says resolution, so, all right? I think that covers it. Number 19. All right, Ms. Neighbors had some comments, but she withdrew them. So other than that, anybody have any questions of Ms. Neighbors that she'd love to come up and speak again on section 19?
Can I make a comment about Title III just as a whole? I think, we've gone through every section in there, but there's a lot of business and items we can probably clean up after we get all the wording together.
It just takes a motion.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to work with the city.
Okay, so basically tell me where you're Title 19, Section 19?
No, Title 3.
Title,
Title 3.
the whole Title 3,
I mean,
which we just,
I just think we should clean that up. If we're gonna go through this charter, let's clean it up too.
oh, I'm with you.
Title III covers sections 11 all the way
Right.
through 18.
Yep.
Okay, so we've already kind of voted on all that. Would have been a good thing to bring it up back then, but okay. Yeah, all right, so we have voted on those, but Ms. Kopp, if you will, go through those and make sure that what we voted on is kind of cleaned up in the language, and we'll go through it again
I mean,
briefly.
Yeah.
if you all are okay with it, I think we would do that for the whole thing anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know, so even without a motion, I think Kim Barnes and I will review it all, give you our thoughts on the final product and clean it up if we miss anything. I'm not saying substantively change your policy recommendations, but clean
all right.
up.
We can also color code it to where we can document what was
What we
voted on, and what has not been voted on, we can color code it in a way that you'll know the difference.
In one copy.
That is great. Good idea, Kim.
All right, 18. Back to 18 again, or 19.
We're gonna.
So
vote on
anything
that?
other than clearing it up, we don't really have anything on 19, right? Is there a motion on 19? Go right ahead, Ms. Barnes. I see you had a comment.
Yeah, I don't do anything with the city clerk doesn't do anything with the insurance, which includes bonds, and 19 references bonds, so I would recommend that the last part that says, such bonds shall be preserved by the city clerk, that should say the human resources director or risk manager or whatever language that the city manager and his staff determines
Okay.
that position to, because I don't do anything with insurance.
So does this human resources director do that?
Yes.
Okay. So, any questions about that? So how about a motion to change per her recommendation?
I'll make a motion to change from the city clerk to the HR director.
All right.
Human Resources Director.
Where is
Sec-
that exact?
It's at the last sentence on section 19.
Can I ask you just to consider changing that to city manager, and he would designate who the proper staff is?
Okay, since there wasn't a second, so you would say preserved by the city manager.
Right, because the employees are under him, so you don't want to take away his authority over HR.
All right, there was no second. Someone else want to make that motion?
Make a motion to change the city manager.
All right. Second.
Second.
All right, so the last sentence will state, and such bonds shall be preserved by the city manager. Any other comments? Comments? Somebody want to speak against it? All right, let's vote. Peters, Holmes. All right, 19 is 19, 20. Let's see, about 20 here. Let me catch up. All right.
I'll make a motion here on 20.
Well, let's get the staff input first.
Okay.
Yeah, and then any questions, and then we can go right into it, okay? Section 20, city officers appointment compensation, Ms. Neighbors. You made some comments.
Yes, I had 2 comments. The very first sentence says the city council shall appoint the city clerk and the city attorney. I think the city manager should be included in there, since the council does appoint the city manager. And then also, it talks about the mayor's compensation in here, so if we do nothing with the charter amendment coming up about the compensation for council, that needs to be removed here, because the mayor doesn't get paid anymore.
Okay. All right, so let's go with the first one. Any questions about city council shall appoint city clerk, city attorney, and city manager? Any questions?
I think it says they appoint city manager in a previous section, but.
Yep, section 11.
Section 11 says
That's
that?
what I mean.
That's fine. Yeah, that's good.
20 and 21 should probably be in the administrative section.
Okay. Yeah, I see, yeah, probably. You want a real quick motion to make section 20 and 21 move to the administrative section?
I'll make that
All
motion
right.
to move section 20 and 21 to the administrative,
All right.
administrative section.
Mr. Beatty has made a motion to move section 20 and 21 to administrative section. Mr. Peters has seconded. Any other comments beyond that? Anybody opposed? And we'll go ahead and talk about them in order that they are, but they'll be moved. And now, my question is, will they be renumbered? Will they come back renumbered?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so if it's already addressed in another administrative section, do we need to add city manager here? That's the question. Is there a motion to do that? No. All right. And then the other one was to eliminate the mayor from the compensation of the city manager, city clerk, city attorney.
Excuse me, Mr. Minnick, I'm sorry. We didn't get a vote on that last one to move section 20 and 21 to the administrative.
Oh, we didn't get a vote? I'm sorry.
You got a motion and a second.
You know,
Sorry.
I'm doing just good just to stay here. Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Appreciate it. Waiting on something. Oh, come on. You're talking too much. All right, passed unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Barnes. All right, and now that takes us back to the recommendation to remove the mayor from the council shall fix by resolution the compensation of the city manager, delete the mayor, the city clerk, and the city attorney.
I'll make that motion to remove the mayor.
Okay, you want to make a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Smith has made the motion to remove the mayor from the sentence that says accountant shall fix by resolution and compensate city manager. Mayor would be removed. City clerk, city attorney. Mr. Taylor has, seconded. You'd like to speak more on that?
Sure, that just will make it in compliance with the charter amendments.
All right, anybody else?
I'll say that compensation of the charter officers, I don't believe are set by resolution right now.
They're not?
What? Would you like me to respond?
Yes, please.
Currently, new ones are set at the time when you hire that individual, and then afterwards, recently, it has been that the charter officers, the city manager, city clerk, receive the same increases that the general employees receive, and then the city attorneys is done based on a request via letter to council when an increase is requested on their hourly rate for that contract. So that's how they're currently being done.
Okay, if that's the way it's currently being done, then I recommend that you to rework that and bring it back to us. And if that's agreeable to everyone. All right, please do. That way we don't have to guess what the language is right now.
Okay.
And I certainly understand what you said perfectly. No, not perfectly.
Now, can I make a motion on it?
Yes.
I would make a motion that we change the first line of the city council shall appoint the city clerk, the city attorney, and the finance director.
All right.
So, I'm sorry, one more time, we had the motion and the second to delete the mayor, but we did not.
Okay, yeah, to delete the mayor. So let's go ahead. Let's vote on that. Sorry for not keeping up.
Smith and Taylor.
Yeah.
I didn't make this motion, I made the next motion.
No, you made
You made the-
you did
to remove the
eliminate
mayor.
the mayor too.
Okay.
Okay, that's what this one is.
All right.
Okay, that passes. All right, so I'd like to make another motion.
Okay, so the second motion was, the city council shall appoint the city clerk, the city attorney, and the finance director.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All right, the motion has been made to city council shall appoint the city clerk, the city attorney, and the finance director. Made by Mr. Smith and seconded by Mr. Taylor. Go ahead, Mr. Smith, your motion.
Well, I think that moves the finance director to an officer position from a director position, and I think it's an important enough position that they should report directly to the council.
All right, question, Ms. Cobb, would that take care of that?
It would.
Okay. Anybody want to speak against this?
This would undo the charter amendments that were done back in 2014
Correct.
that went to the voters
Correct.
to remove the finance officer as a
So
charter
this
officer.
wouldn't, of course.
Yes.
Nothing you're doing tonight would.
That's right.
It would
Right.
go to the voters again.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? How many finance directors in the state of Florida are underneath the city council?
Not very many.
Very few.
That's what I thought.
Okay. So do you want to speak for or against this motion?
Against.
Okay, anybody else speak for? Anybody else speak against? I'll speak against. We went through, if you weren't there, you don't know, but I mean, it was a mess. And I said then, I'll say now, 7 people can hire somebody easily, but 7 people can't fire somebody easily. The finance director should work for the city manager. I will be voting against this. Anyone else? All right, please vote. Motion fails 6-1 for no. All right, next. 21, consolidation which will be moved. Consolidation of offices and departments. Ms. Neighbors? Slowly.
I will talk very slow for you. Thank you. My comment was this entire section should be removed because this section, to me, at least the way that I read it, and obviously Mr. Minnick says I don't know how to read or understand the language, but it's operations, and council shouldn't have any say over operations. They're policy makers, so this should be under the city manager.
Questions of Ms. Neighbors? All right, and I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that section 21 be removed.
What's the second?
Mr. Taylor made the motion to remove section 21. Mr. Holmes seconded. Go ahead, Mr. Taylor, your motion.
I agree with neighbors there.
Anyone oppose this motion? Like to speak? Anyone in favor of this motion like to speak again? All right, please vote. And it passes 6-1. Oh, Mr. Smith, come on.
So we will not be consolidating 20 and 21 into administration.
So just 20. Right. All right, well, you can figure that out.
Yeah, we're good.
I know, tough
That's why you
time,
get paid
so,
big bucks.
Yeah. Paid? Nobody gets paid. All right, section 22 is other than regular compensation. Section 22, Ms. Neighbors.
Just a small comment, it's kind of like one with the mayor, that if we don't change council compensation in the charter amendment coming forward.
Slowly, please.
The highlighted section that I highlighted, regular compensation should be deleted from that section, as the council will not receive compensation.
All right, any questions?
Question
Go ahead.
for Ms. Koff. Isn't the majority of that covered under the ethics through the state of Florida?
Well, under the ethics laws, you can be compensated, but I think you're thinking about gifts, which you can't get, and that's covered, yes, by
That's-
Chapter 112 ethics.
I was checking to
Yeah.
see if you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. But I agree with Nicole, the language about regular compensation should be deleted if you're keeping things where they're not compensated.
All right, any other questions?
Well, a comment, or
Not
question.
yet, not yet. Questions?
Okay, a
Yeah,
question.
what's a question?
If, it says other than regular compensation, so if somebody works for the city and they're a council member, they can still receive, can somebody not be a council member if they work for the city?
No.
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right,
That's all.
I'll entertain a motion. Jump right in, boys. No motion?
Oh, I'll make the motion to.
All right, so
remove
regular
the
compensation.
language.
Second.
All right, Mr. Beatty made the motion to remove regular compensation in the first sentence of section 22, and Mr. Peters seconded it. Mr. Beatty, any kind of other comments? Anybody opposed? All right, please vote. Section 23, oath of office. No comments from anyone.
No, but just on 22, did you want to make any changes due to the ethics law covering that, or you were just asking?
That was just asking.
Okay, sorry, I don't have comments.
Once again, section 23, oath of office, no staff input. Oh,
I have a question.
go ahead.
For the oath of office, I know the council member, the elected officials take that when they get sworn in, but do appointed committee members or board members do the oath of office too? Or is it just
No,
elected?
I don't believe so.
I believe it's limited to employees. It used to be a statute,
Yeah.
the oath laid out.
And it still exists for council members, elected officials, but I don't believe any employees or advisory board members would be taking that oath.
Just
So it
because
should
says
probably
every
not say
officer.
every
I got you.
officer.
Well, the officers, we're
Right.
gonna straighten that
Just,
out.
I just wanted to.
Right. We'll straighten that out definitely.
Every elected official.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yes.
All right. No comments, others? Motion second?
To change it to elected officials?
Well, I think that, do you want to make that motion?
No, I mean, if we're going to clarify it through. the other-
Okay, all right, cool. So there's no motion. Next is 24. 24,
Don't look at me.
come on, you got
No,
one.
that's just, I mean, we've already covered that, it's just talking about cleaning up the language.
Ms. Barnes, you had a section 24 comment?
That's saying, clearing up the officers and employees.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Section 24, any motion? All right, section 25.
Do you all want to delete section 24? I mean, do we need section 24? Because everybody's already gone that was here when the charter went into effect in 1941.
Oh, I appreciate that comment.
I think. So I think you can delete section 24 unless you
I'll
also.
make a motion to delete section 20.
There you go. All right.
Second.
Mr. Smith made the motion to delete. Thank you, Ms. Cobb, for jumping right in.
Yeah,
If you'd given me comments before, I would have asked anyway. To delete section 24, and Mr. Peters has seconded that motion. Mr. Smith, any other
Well, I don't
comments?
think there's anybody holding office that was here when the original charter was.
Yeah, not when Bull died. Anybody else? All right, let's vote.
Ms.
All right,
Cobb,
let me go.
Some of that language is in like the first couple of paragraphs.
Yeah.
We need to-
Yeah. Hey, we're doing the best we can here. Next is section 25, elections. Ms. Barnes, we'll go with you first, and I'll look up Chief Page left. He wanted me to read his, so if you'll go first, I'll find his comments.
Again, mine will be covered in the language cleanup, except for D, let me see what that is.
Let me catch up here. Section, no, not
Oh, it's just the cleanup language on mine.
Okay. All right, just clean up language, and hang on, let me just catch up. I got Chief Pages here, but they're not in order, which I threw around. All right. Chief, did you want to go first, Ms. Neighbors, with your comments?
Language cleanup.
Okay, cool. Chief Page said that he would change the last sentence to read, to delete $50 and insert 1/2, 0.5 mil of the city's total budget from the year of the election. Boy, that would have been a question I'd like to ask.
How much would that be?
Exactly, wait, that was my question. He's not here.
But if you think about it, a lot of this is done by the I think this is outdated language, because the supervisor of elections does a lot of this, not the city. Like, we do not prepare
Set the
the
fee.
forms.
But
Yeah, we set the fee though.
Yeah, we set the fee.
I was gonna ask how we set the fee.
Yeah.
It's been $50.
This is how you set it.
It was set in 1941.
But I don't think, I don't want to speak on his behalf, but I don't think the intent was for it to be that large of an amount. Maybe he left off some zeros because unless you're accustomed to using the millage rate calculations on a regular basis, you forget to add about 2 or 3 zeros in there that would make a huge difference. So maybe he means at least base it on the millage in some way, but I don't think it's what that is.
What does the county use?
I don't know.
Or other cities.
You all could say an amount that's set by resolution every so often,
Yeah.
every 5 years, or
Yeah.
that way in 2100, we're not charging $100 like we might today.
Right.
Yeah, this says established by ordinance, but we could say resolution instead and strike that whole, but which may not exceed the sum of $50.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so Mr. Beatty has made the motion that big, long sentence ends with established by resolution. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Second?
Can I make an amendment?
Wait, let's get a second first.
Second.
All right, we got, Mr. Beatty made the motion to eliminate the last portion of that sentence. And it'll say, shall be established by resolution. And Mr. Taylor, second, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to make a motion?
Can I leave the, but do not exceed the sum of $500?
All right, your motion is to state that it shall be established by resolution, but may not exceed the sum of $500. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there a second? No second, so it does fail, that amendment. Now, any comments on, Mr. Beatty, do you have further comments on your original motion?
No, I agree with Ms. Kopp. You know, setting specific numbers in the charter makes it very difficult to change. So doing it by resolution, it'll all depend on the time and the council that's seated at the time too.
All right, anyone else, anybody opposed?
I just think the cap was in there for a reason, and I think, you know, I don't want a body to eliminate, set a real high number to eliminate people from running for office.
All right, I understand where you're coming from there. I wouldn't run if it was 500. I don't think that the city council would, I might, I don't think so. I understand, so you're opposed?
Yes.
Okay, anyone else? You have something you'd like to say, Ms. Barnes?
Just a tiny bit. Nicole, through finance, does do a resolution annually and sometimes in between where we do the fee schedule. We could put it in there as a part of that process.
So it would be
It's
by
by resolution.
resolution in the fee schedule?
Yeah, you don't have to put that in
Just
the
put
charter.
Right. I was
By
just-
resolution, correct.
Yeah, I was
agree.
letting you know that's when it
All
can
right.
be done.
Yeah.
Anybody else, any comments? All right, let's vote.
Mr. Taylor.
I'm sorry, oh yeah, waiting on a second.
Tony, you did the second one.
I got
There
it,
you go.
sorry.
All right, section 26, let me catch up here. One second, everybody. All right, that was section 24. No, that was section 25, now we're at section 26. Property rights, obligations, ordinance, etc. There was no staff input. Any questions?
The language kind of goes back to a question I had at the very beginning.
I think we have to abolish the city to create a new charter?
No. Where are you reading right now? Is that A?
Yeah. to see what it-
To me, A seems like another one of those outdated items
That's what I'm
that,
thinking.
that mattered when the municipality was first incorporated.
All right, other questions? Motion?
Make a motion to eliminate section A under 26.
Second.
All right, motion has been made by Mr. Taylor and seconded by Mr. Smith to eliminate section A, property tax claims, etc., all property rights, uncollected taxes, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Taylor, like to speak on that? Anyone opposed?
I was just asking, are all three sections
Yeah.
relative to the change in municipality of from city of Fort Walton to Fort Walton Beach?
That was gonna be my next point,
Yeah.
was B. I haven't got.
I think
C
B
yet.
and C are, they reference ordinances of the old city.
Yeah, I don't think you need section 26 at all. If the city was unincorporated, there wouldn't be a charter anymore. And if we want to amend anything in the charter, this is how we would do it, so.
All right, so would someone like to make an amendment to eliminate?
I'll make an amendment to eliminate section 26A, B, and C.
All right, second. Mr. Beatty.
Holmes.
Okay, I thought it was.
It was Holmes.
I just, what? All right, so it's been a motion and a second to eliminate section 26A, B, and C. All right, anybody speak on it anymore? All right, let's vote.
Sorry.
All right, next is section 27.
I think same issue.
24.
I'm sorry, where were we at?
27?
27?
27 is another one that does not apply anymore.
I make a motion to remove section 27.
Second.
All right, Mr. Beatty has made the motion to remove section 27. It's been seconded by Mr. Peters. Anybody else? Anybody comments? Please vote. Section 28, we had no staff input. Any questions? Any motion? Okay, section 29, repealer.
29 and 30 should probably both come out, shouldn't they, Ms. Cobb? Because
Ms.
they're-
Cobb, what do you think?
They're
29,
previous.
30?
I think 29, the question for you all is, I think it should come out as written, or it could say any ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed, because anytime you make changes, the ordinances that are affected they have to be consistent with the charter, so they should be repealed.
So your
I think
recommendation-
my recommendation would be to change laws to ordinances and leave 29 in, but 30 could come out.
I'll make a motion to replace laws with the word ordinances or ordinance in section 29 as recommended by the city attorney.
Second.
All right, so Mr. Beatty has made the motion that the sentence will read, all ordinances and parts of ordinance in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. Was it, Mr. Smith, was that you that seconded that? Okay. Anything else about that?
Nope.
Anybody opposed? Anybody else? Let's vote. $30? Oh.
Make
Yep,
a
seven,
motion.
zip.
Make a motion to remove section 30.
Second.
Mr. Holmes made the motion to remove section 30, effective date. Mr. Beatty seconded. Mr. Holmes, your
Nothing.
motion? Nothing? Anybody
Just
opposed?
a question, would this affect the new changes that we're making?
No.
No?
Taking out the effective date, you mean?
Yeah.
No,
Each ordinance will have its own.
Okay.
Okay.
what he said.
Anyone else? Please vote. All right, let me catch up here, because I gotta find the chief's comments. Chief had a comment on section 31. You got his comments there, Mike?
He wanted to remove the last sentence.
I wanted to remove that last sentence.
I got it here. It's just- All right, so Chief Bage's recommendation was to remove the last, this charter shall not be construed to annex any portions of water at the present time. He's not here to ask any questions, so we'll just take a motion.
I'll ask
You go ahead, right, you bet. I'm sorry, should have been questions.
the attorney, is that statutory? Can you annex water?
So it's saying here that this charter should not be construed to annex water, so it's not annexing, but are you asking if the
I'm
one
saying-
half a mile is legal?
No, I'm saying if you took it out, does that mean you can annex the water?
There are times when water can be part of a city. I could give the example, in Destin with the bayou where it's surrounded on 3 sides and the city has jurisdiction to the mouth.
Well, I understand they have
So
jurisdiction.
here you could have go ahead.
I understand they have jurisdiction, is that the same as annexation?
Well, if you annexed in pieces that included that, I don't think it physically would happen here with the layout of the city right now. I can't think of a water body we would annex in, but it's not impossible.
Okay, any other questions? Motion? No motion? Section 31, we're done. Section 32. If I can get it here. Okaloosa Island. So we have a representative from the county here. Sorry. So let me see what Chief Page wrote there. I'll wave off there. All right. Acquisition of Okaloosa Island is what Chief Page recommended. City of Fort Ball is authorized to acquire property on Okaloosa Island outside the city limits for recreational purposes. That stays the same. And he adds B, City of Fort Walton Beach retains its intention from its founding to include Okaloosa Island into the jurisdiction of the town and the city at a time of choosing. He's not here to answer any question. Ms. Cobb, do you have any opinion on that?
I think that Florida state law tells you what can and can't be annexed and that it has to be contiguous. So not sure that this would.
Did you have a question?
This was probably from 1941 as well.
Right.
Because the city used to, back in the late 70s, early 80s, lease Leaside Park
Right.
on the island.
Right.
And that has since gone by the wayside. I don't see a point in having a
Okay,
thing in
then
there.
we'll wait and see if we have a motion before we discuss it. Any motion on this section 32?
I make a motion, we just eliminate the whole section.
Second. Mr. Peters, seconds. Go ahead. What you said before, you want to?
What I said before, yeah, it's the explanation, and I think it boils down to, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a matter of policy if the city wants to lease a piece of property somewhere.
Right,
It should be covered in the charter.
right. All right, anybody else opposed to this? I'm going to say, in this one, this is old stuff. It doesn't need to be here, in my opinion. Besides having the county rec director here, I don't think they can let us, so.
Well, annexation laws have changed since then.
Yeah. And another thing is though, it doesn't say annex, it says acquire. So if we're just talking
Right.
about purchasing property or acquiring property, there's nothing wrong with this.
Right.
If it meant annexing, then because the word contiguous makes it sound like they're talking about annexing,
Right.
but maybe they're just clarifying the city can acquire purchase property Or maybe we want to,
Anybody else have a comment on this? First time? I'll make a second one. It says Santa Rosa Island. It's been since 1950. It's been called Okaloosa Island. 56, exactly.
But officially, on the map, it's still Santa Rosa
No,
Island.
it's Santa Rosa Island, but it was deeded by the Air Force too, and that's why it was picked up as Okaloosa Island. I think it, I agree, Section 32 should go. Anybody else? Please vote. That'll calm them down on social media, that's for sure. All right, 438, Section 33. We have lots of comments here. Let's start with Ms. Neighbors. Hold on one second before you start. Let me kind of catch up here. I'm still starting on yours, so go ahead.
Can I ask a question first?
Yes.
So these last 3 sections, were they, those are the ones that were just
Right.
voted on? Is this the language that was approved after the votes were done?
let's see,
Let
33,
me
yes.
make it, go ahead, Ms. Cotton.
Oh, I was just answering the questions, but yeah, if you look at the bottom or the end of each section, it'll tell you the ordinance that was passed, and you can see these were passed on May 21st of 2024. So these are the 3 charter amendments that recently passed.
And do all 3 of these follow the actual spirit of the actual petitions that were signed by the voters of the city?
You're asking me this question.
That's,
That is a question for you all to decide.
Okay.
yeah. I can state, and I'm sure Ms. Barnes can state as well, this reflects what the city council sent. As far as the petition goes, that's really kind of immaterial right here, because city council voted to send this language to referendum, and that's where these came from, okay?
Just asking the question.
I get it, and I kind of know what your point is, but, this is the way it is. All right, go ahead, Ms. Neighbors.
As a committee, I'm sure you guys know, as a finance director, I did not support this charter amendment, and as well as you all know, because I was very vocal as a citizen, I voted no for this. So obviously, in my opinion, I would like to see this to go out to referendum to rescind the entire thing, because I feel like council should have compensation, not a lot of compensation, but enough there's a lot of time and effort, and I don't know of a lot of councils or commissions that do not receive compensation. If this committee doesn't elect to go that way, I suggested 2 options to be able to give council some type of compensation. The first option, I'd said an elected official should receive reimbursement for expenses actually incurred in the performance of his or her duties. Additionally, an elected official should be able to participate in the city's health care plan mirroring the employee contribution amount, whereas when it was rescinded, it was 100%. The second option would be an elected official should receive compensation of a predetermined amount approved by City Council monthly and should be able to participate in the city's health care plan mirroring the employee's contribution amount.
Questions of Ms. Neighbors about her recommendation? Thank you. Ms. Barnes.
Same, I felt like that the council should receive, if not a salary, at least the eligibility for health insurance. And if a council member chose not to accept the health insurance or participate in it, that if they opted out, they should receive payment for the equivalent value of the lowest cost plan available to employees.
Questions?
And continue to be reimbursed for expenses, which I think that's still covered.
All right, let me,
He just struck out everything and added something in there.
okay, so Chief Bay struck out the first portion and A and B and added an elected official should only receive reimbursement for expenses actually incurred in the performance of their duties and be able to join the city's health care plan by paying the employee contribution amount. Any questions of him? He's not here. All right. Is there a motion? to think about this for a minute? Yeah, I can see everybody kind of staring at the ceiling.
And another thing is, you know, your meeting ends at 5. You can always take these last 3 and come back to them at your next meeting if you want to. I know these are,
These are big ones.
y'all might
I
have.
think that's a good.
Motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Meeting's adjourned. All right, before the meeting adjourns, let's decide on when we're gonna meet again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Two things. One is, y'all, if you're all generally good with this first Tuesday of the month at 2 p.m., I'm good with that, Kim's good with that. However, I personally have a conflict with July. I know we changed the date already because of 4th of July, but I will not return until the date we set. So if we could set this meeting 1 day ahead or 2 days ahead from that, what was it,
July
Tuesday the 16th?
The 15th is Tuesday.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why do we have to wait a month?
That was my question.
Oh, you don't?
No, I think, you know, it's all fresh in our mind. It's fresh in the minds of the staff, the city manager and all of us. I don't think we need to wait a month. I think that I spoke with Ms. Barnes and you said 2 weeks, right? We can notify, and what was the date that you gave me?
2 weeks gives like 10-day notice, which is typically what the council tries to do with any special meetings that are
And
called.
what date would that be? Well, I got a calendar.
I mean, I think,
June 17th? Is that
I
right?
mean, that you've made a lot, yeah, if you do that, I don't know that we would have everything completely done by the 7th.
I would request that if you do that, you come back to discuss these next 3 items, because that will
I got
probably
you.
take the 3 hours. And then that will also give
And I
us time to work on what's.
I am not available on the 17th.
I can't do the 17th either. I can do the 16th, but not the 17th.
Which is a Monday? It's just, it's outside of the 10 days. Everybody check your calendars. Because we know that we want Mr. Beatty here.
18th.
Huh?
The
Steve's
18th.
out all
I'm on
week.
vacation that week, so
18th.
I cannot do the 16th.
I'm here.
This is why we had the monthly, getting everybody's schedules.
Well, if they have been set,
15th through the 20th.
all right,
A
go ahead.
suggestion. There is no requirement that we do a 10-day notice. That's just typically what we do. Could we do it on June the 12th? That's on a Thursday.
We'll just mail it
What about Friday the 13th?
I'm out.
No.
in. Great idea.
Because I think that's appropriate.
That would be
For these three, yeah. All right, so everybody check calendar, 12th, 13th. 13th.
13th for me. I can't do the 12th.
12th, 13th.
Can we
If
do
you
the
want
morning?
finance
Good
director
either
input
day.
on it, I don't get back from Colorado until 11.
We got,
Okay.
you got, you know, just all we won't get is your question, any answers to questions. 13th it is,
Can we do the morning?
as long as it's not before 6. What time? 9?
Works for me. If it
Huh?
does for you.
Works for me.
I'm good anytime.
What time are we doing it?
9 a.m. on
9.
Friday the 13th?
Yep.
Friday the 13th.
And the meeting will only be discussed the last 3. And then if you two can get together and maybe sort out some of the others, then maybe we can do those after, at the time. So 9 until noon?
Yep.
Okay. That's
So
what
I
we'll
don't
set
think we
the
can
time
have more
as.
than 3 hours.
No.
Yeah.
9 to
I've
12.
already lost
on the
half my
13th.
paperwork.
Okay.
All right. Shut up. Oh, sorry. Everybody in agreement? Friday 13th, 9 a.m. to noon. And we're going to only address the last 3 or any others that you two have massaged, right? All right, meeting's adjourned.